Hi Aries, welcome to your December 2018 General Tarot reading. It's Raina here. So, I have left these cards out overnight because this was a reading that got interrupted, and here we are. It's a new day, and there's a blizzard that just happened outside, or a semi-blizzard, and yeah, so let's get started here. So for the overall theme, we have the Magician card for December, which is one of my favorite cards because this is a card of self-empowerment. And this card is connected to the sign of Gemini. If there are any Geminis in the picture, or maybe they will show up, an important person for you in December. This is a card of doing things yourself, and you are the first sign of the zodiac, so that makes perfect sense. I think that in a certain way, I would actually look at Aries as the magician because number one, you're the first sign of the zodiac and the first house of the zodiac, and so the number one is not an accident. They didn't randomly number the magician number one. It's about being resourceful and self-reliant, and this can run the gamut. I mean, for instance, let's say someone is leaving a relationship for the first time in many years. That feeling of self-reliance is a real big lesson that has to be learned first and foremost. And same with anything related to starting your own business and leaving a job, or just leaving a job because you're unhappy with it and maybe you don't have any future prospects, but you know that you can't work there another day, but you know that you want to bring some revenue in. So there can be all kinds of situations where the magician applies, but the important thing I think about the magician is that it's connected to the law of attraction, where it's like you're creating your reality. You're creating the circumstances for things to happen in your life. And it's kind of like when people are overly cautious and they stay in a job that is unsatisfying because at least it's a job, but they never even really try to look around and see if there's anything better, to see if they're, if they can start their own business, start it on the side while they're doing their main job, because they're kind of like satisfied to a certain degree. They might be suffering on some level, but their fear of survival, of not surviving, is greater than any kind of boredom or lack of harmony with what they're doing. So that's kind of, the magician is about like creating your own rules, I think, too, where it's not just about what other people want and their opinions, but you being able to do what you need to do in your life to be a success and to be happy. And let's look at the foundation card here. We have the Six of Cups. And this is a card of soulmates. This is a card of also childhood, and so the nostalgia that comes along with childhood. And it's interesting because astrologically, during the next 18 months, you have the transiting North Node in your 4th house of home and family in Cancer. And this can be about your roots and things that are connected with destiny. And if we think of what destiny means, it means that which, if you want to say is meant to be, that's how we would characterize it. But this is where people get really confused, because they say, well, if things are meant to be, that means our lives are predetermined or they're set in stone and we don't have free will. And I would say that I believe it's a mixture of both. I think that there are outlines of our life that are kind of, that we cannot escape. But I don't mean that in a bad way either. They could be people that we meet that are very influential in our life and yada yada. And then I believe there are free will choices that we make. So I don't think that anyone can hide behind fate and avoid taking action or blame something on anything else, because even the things that are predetermined, I think we choose those too, but we choose them before our birth. So without getting too esoteric about that, I just wanted to say that these issues of childhood, children, your roots, your past, can come up in the next 18 months in very unexpected ways. This card with the Six of Cups can be a card of, when I said soulmates, I mean somebody that you consider perhaps the love of your life. Maybe this was somebody from your past who could possibly be a soulmate or a twin flame. You were separated by circumstance, and that circumstance may have been predetermined. You know, in order for you to learn certain lessons apart, and then you come together again. So maybe there's something going on with this that is connected to the Magician card, that is connected to this sense of you taking charge of your life in some way. And it could be that you have ended a relationship because you didn't have this type of relationship with somebody and you wanted it very much so. The other thing, this card could simply be about children. So if you're somebody who wants children and maybe you have felt that it has eluded you, I'll just say here is that the Wheel of Fortune in the challenge position can be that the timing has been off and that other things have been happening. And when I say timing off, it could be, you know, maybe you're embroiled in something at work and you're very stressed and it's not a good time to conceive. And maybe hormonally or whatever, things are not right. The conditions are not good for that. But now, maybe it will be. And maybe this card is saying that this is coming in. Maybe the Wheel of Fortune was something that you've been dealing with and feeling that sense of lack of alignment, but it is going to be happening. The Magician is about making it happen. But it's funny because I think if I had to give advice to Aries people, it would be, since you're like a cardinal sign, I would say, yes, of course, act, because that's how you express yourself in the world. You're like catalysts, and you're very helpful in that sense, because a lot of people are inert. A lot of people have trouble getting started, doing things like that, and they need that kind of that push. And so you be the catalyst for others, but by the same token, make sure that you are not being too forceful. You know, when you take action without a sense of expectation. Because too many people take action, and when they don't get what they want, they double down. And that, to me, is a controlling mentality. And that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about doing things and then allowing the universe to, you know, take care of the details, you know, and not trying to force the hand of the universe. And so that's what I would say about the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, too, is that you have to respect cycles. You have to, you know, don't get discouraged if something doesn't happen when you want it, but understand that if it's meant to be, I do believe that it will show up eventually. And eventually, it could be many years. And you know, it's funny, this is not, you know, me going off on a tangent. This is a concrete example of that. I don't know how I was reading something, and that led me to look something up online. And somehow, as the internet will do, I was led to looking at psychedelic folk artists of all things, and this was, and then they gave a name of someone, and I saw her picture, and there was something about her that intrigued me, and they happened to have her album on YouTube, and I listened to the whole thing, and I was blown away. And she was a dental hygienist. I can't think of her name. I think it was Linda Perlak or something, but this woman was a dental hygienist who got discovered by somebody. She was working in California, like Beverly Hills or something, I don't know. And this in like 1969, and she recorded one album, and it didn't get successful. And she continued being a dental hygienist, and then all of a sudden she was discovered because of the internet, and she became a cult figure, you know. And then she recorded a second album, and I think they've used her songs and commercials and stuff like that. And it's like, there's no stopping your destiny if it's meant to be. And that includes a person. That includes if you are, you know, if there is a soulmate in your life. And, you know, in a way, I'm saying that to allow you to just kind of relax. Because you might say to me, 30 years? Do you think I want to wait 30 years for this? I'm not saying that you would have to. But I'm just saying that so many people, they just want something really badly, and they don't have faith, and they try to just like force the hand of the universe, double down, and then they're just left with a sense of frustration. And certainly with Aries, that's the case. Let's look at some of these other cards. The higher message is the Death card. So the higher message is more on the psychological, spiritual level, whether it's what's going on or advice. And with this card, this is kind of like what I'm talking about. And this goes both ways. I mean, whether you're trying to start something or whether something is coming to an end. So I think in this particular case, it could be talking about Aries, that you are dealing with a transitionary period in your life, a period of transition that there is no stopping. And maybe there's certain things that you are holding on to that you need to let go of. Who knows? I don't think of Aries as one of those signs. I think you're like, you love new things. But everybody has probably something that they don't want to end. But in order for you to create your reality, maybe there's an old habit, a person, place, or thing that really needs to leave your life because it's holding you back in some way. I mean, that's always possible. And on the more mundane side of things, as advice or observation, we have the Nine of Wands. So this could be like a fire sign individual, another Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius who is playing a role somehow in your life. Maybe this is, you know, it's funny because since the Wheel of Fortune is in the reversed position or the challenge position, that connects to Jupiter. And Sagittarius is the sign ruled by Jupiter, so fire sign energy. So maybe it is the Sag that has to go. I feel like this person has very strong walls up, and maybe you're trying to make something happen because you feel like this person is your soulmate, or you want it, you're looking for this soulmate. And by the way, so I just spent like the last 9 months dealing with, or 6 months dealing with leaf blowers, and now that we had the snow, we had a lot of snow last night. Now it sounds like the trucks have come with the plows, so I was hoping that it wouldn't interrupt this reading. I'm going to try to get through this. But yeah, I mean, this could be somebody who is inaccessible to you and you're trying very hard. I'm not sure if this person is a soulmate or some relationship you're leaving. It sounds like it would be more connected to the Death card. Maybe somebody that you need to distance yourself from. What's coming in is the Nine of Swords. And this is anxiety. This is a feeling of, you know, not having complete ease. And that certainly comes when you're dealing with transition. So it may not be that great of a feeling, but it's necessary sometimes in life. We can't avoid it. And that's how you get to the next level. So you don't allow anything that feels uncomfortable to prevent you from, you know, letting go of the past so that you can become that, I almost said magician. And the outcome is the Ace of Pentacles. This is a card of new beginnings. And this particularly has a very practical side to it, with the earth energy connected to it. So this could be like a new job, for instance. And maybe you weren't creating your own job. Maybe you were wanting to work somewhere else and you made it happen, even though it was a little bit scary. But also the Ace of Pentacles, maybe it's a new income stream and it has something to do with your own efforts. I really feel a more independent vibe from the Ace of Pentacles with this one. Something that you're creating for yourself. With relationships, this could be a relationship with somebody who may literally be an earth sign or have it very strong in their chart, even if they're a fire sign. Somebody who's quite grounded and sensible. So that would be a Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn. Yes, Aries people are sweet on Capricorn. So, you know, it's very interesting because we have like kind of this new agey, or how would I put it? The more of the woo kind of influence of why do I want to say magician, and even the I don't know about the Death card. Well, in a way, the Death card is a metaphysical kind of an influence connected to Scorpio. And then we have the practical, ending with the Ace of Pentacles. So I think that's the best of both worlds, quite frankly, because even if you're trying to create something, I think you should always, you know, have your feet on the ground and not live in your mind and your desires. And, you know, that's one of the, I think, criticisms that is valid of the metaphysical movement, or whatever you want to call it, is that there tends to be too much ungroundedness, not enough practicality, and we need that desperately in life. We're living on this earth. We're not living up in the ozone. So we have to always be realistic and practical, but at the same time dream big. Okay, so believe me, I'm a Sagittarius. I believe in dreaming big, but I have a lot of earth in me, so that's how I roll. Okay, I'm going to pick a card from the Universe Has Your Back deck. I hope I don't get the same card I've been getting over and over again. The presence of love will always cast out fear. And, you know, I get like a little bit of a vibe of, I don't know if I'd call it fear, you know, with the Nine of Swords, but even before that, possibly with the Death card, this feeling of apprehension about something. Maybe you're on the brink of something new. And I should add, too, that Uranus is now retrograding in your sign, and you've had Uranus for 7 years. I wouldn't be surprised if some Aries people have gone through a lot of twists and turns in their life for almost the last decade. And so the return of Uranus may, until I think it's March, I'm not sure, I think that's when it goes back into Taurus, may bring some of these shakeups back into your life when you thought that you'd finally say goodbye to them. And what you have to do is you have to be willing to roll with the changes, because this is what I was talking about when I talk about cardinal signs, is that need to control the narrative or control the, whatever it is that you're trying to do. And you can't. Sometimes there are things that happen, as I said, that are destined to happen, and you have to be able to surrender to certain things. And I think that this Uranian unpredictable retrograde in your sign is the perfect way to just learn how to expect the unexpected and be able to work within that framework and not have everything be according to your own schedule or your own desires. And then you'll be fine. But, it's funny when they say the presence of love will always cast out fear. If you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And I think you'll never, truly fear anything, because you'll know that you're aligned with your path. I think it's much more likely to experience a lot of upheaval when you're doing something that your heart isn't really into in the first place. I just think that's how it goes energetically. So anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this, Aries. If you'd like a private reading, the link is below. I hope you have a wonderful December. Take care. Bye.